This site is really unusually special. It is part of creating this heightened sense of, arrival and a journey.
The most beautiful places are rarely simple. They are composed, layer by layer, idea by idea, until something unexpected begins to emerge. A balance between opposites. Here, those contradictions live in quiet harmony. Modern architecture softened by gardens that change with the seasons. Water moving gently through a koi pond, reflecting sky and light. A tea house resting beneath the branches of an ancient tree. It is this balance between movement and calm, between structure and landscape, between artistry and intimacy that gives a place its soul. Welcome to the Garden House at 31 Albion Place.
I'm Sarah Simple Brown. I'm an architect and the founding owner of Simple Brown Design. We worked very closely with many folks on this project, with the clients, the landscape architects, with Chris Davis in our firm at the time, and it was just a great, wonderful experience. We've always liked the fact that the kitchen was fairly intimate. The kitchen wanted to be on the same level as that garden as it approaches the tea house. And so that was very important to the clients because they were very much about cooking and having a private life. The windows became such a big feature of the house. Steel windows were not as prevalent as they are now. And the thing about steel windows is they're a much thinner frame. So the frame allows you to have much more glass and a much more refined window. They wanted the primary bedroom to be as closely connected to that site. This became the experience of sort of taking a breath and appreciating where you are and taking the journey. It's sort of a sequence of emotions because you've arrived, you kind of have this vista and you start to become embraced by the house from the exterior. A big part of the design of the house became the exterior. We worked with Marpa out of landscape architect out of Boulder, and that's when we started to create the terraces and the levels and the water and that whole Zen kind of experience that you immerse yourself into. And I think that becomes the attitude of when you arrive. I think the way we approach the house in terms of the design process with making the house is not to have it be too imposing. Again, the house is a 20-year-old house and it still lives. It's, we like to think of our projects as timeless. It is a response to where it is, a response to how it wants to live. Again, that journey of entry, sequence, arrival, the journey, descending down, became more than we had originally envisioned. What we wanted to do is to have it feel like it was sort of knitted together with that outdoor experience. So you've got these orthogonal forms that are, concrete, so that in juxtaposition to this very organic and natural, garden and everything. And when we brought on the landscape architect, they were equally attached to it. So we all had the same common goal of knitting these two things together and making the details feel like it was a cohesive approach.
And slowly, almost without noticing, something begins to change. What stands here in strength and quiet grandeur becomes something more meaningful than architecture alone. It becomes the most beautiful place on earth.